What up, folks? What it do? Welcome to another episode of the Best Advice Ever podcast. Yes, with the bow-tied comedian, Mike Goodwin. Interesting enough, the bow tie has gotten a little bit more press and notoriety. This is, I record on a schedule, but it's not necessarily the schedule. Like when you listen to this, it's probably not the same day that this is being recorded. But recently, a few days ago, I woke up to a text from the editor of the podcast, Jeremy, and he sent me a greeting that we typically greet each other with. He was like, "Yo, what up?" And that's all it was just the greeting. I was like, yeah, man, what's going on? So he tells me that Joe Budden podcast, which I know of the podcast, and I listen to, I see clips online for the most part, but I'm not a avid listener. The Joe Budden podcast, that's the name of it, the Joe Budden podcast. Very, very simple. Joe Budden podcast, he tells me that they're playing my clip. They're playing a comedy clip from the podcast. And I go and check it out. And it's the clip. Many of you may have seen it. It's the clip of me doing two things. It's probably a good opportunity for me to talk about that joke since I don't do the joke. So he sends me the clip. Well, he sends me the screenshot and tells me where, the timestamp. So I go and listen to it, and it's just me doing the joke. Again, I'm not familiar with Joe Budden's podcast, but apparently sometimes he'll just play a clip of like a motivational speaker, a joke, something before he starts DJing, before they go into the show. Play my clip, two things, it's my voice. I haven't seen it because I know they do a video version of the podcast, and maybe I'll go do that. Maybe I'll go take a look and see if they show the video of me. Because if you just heard my voice and didn't know who I was just a random speaker. Now, I heard from another partner of mine that he listens to the podcast also. He says that Joe Budden does that, but when he hears the speaker or whoever, he goes and like research and finds who this individual is. And then my other partner was like, Joe Budden has like 5 million people that listen to the podcast. So that happens one morning. I get up, matter of fact, one morning. I think it was a Wednesday morning. Yeah, it's a Wednesday morning. I get up, go to the gym. Like I actually was back. I had gone to the gym and did my cardio situation. Now I'm getting ready to go and start the day. So Jeremy sends me that. Cool. I listen to it. I'm like, oh, that's dope. Cool. Like, hey, man, that's okay. We out here. And I'll circle back, talk about two things. Then I get a call from one of my frat brothers, basically like, hey, man, I'm in the car taking my daughter to school and taking my son to school, and Steve Harvey, they're talking about you. This is the same morning. I just finished listening to myself on Joe Budden's podcast. And then I'm laughing because I'm thinking about something, and I'll talk about that too. So I get a call from one of my frat brothers, basically like, hey, man, I'm taking my son to school, and they're talking about you on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. They're basically recapping the draft, the NFL draft, and they started talking about, hey, let's draft some comedians. If we were to do a comedian draft, who would these people be? They say that the usual suspects on this draft: Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Cat Williams. But then Steve says about his fourth pick. He says, man, this dark-skinned dude with glasses, with suits and bow ties. What's his name? Mike. And then nephew Tommy's like, who I know. If you talking about my frat brother, Mike Jr. That's what Ted Tommy says. And then Steve, he's still trying to figure out, yes, sharp, dark skin, glass dude, wear bow ties. Man, I like his stuff, and Tommy's like, he wear bow ties? He's like, yeah. And then I guess somebody's pulling it up, me, or a clip of me. And Steve like, yeah, that guy, Mike Goodwin, right? That's how the clip. So this is all happening in the same morning. This is all going down in the same morning. And I'm just like, and so I get a call, like I said, I get a call from a frat brother. Another frat brother's calling me while I'm on the phone with a guy. Then I'm getting a couple of text messages from some people. On Facebook is a couple of people like, hey, man, Steve was just talking about you on the morning show. It was like, oh, snap. That's super cool. Like, I love it. I love it. Like, here's the component. It's similar to if there's a restaurant in the city, right? There's a restaurant. It's kind of like the Keith Lee effect. There's this restaurant. They're serving excellent food. The food is great. The desserts are great. They just aren't getting any traction. No one knows about them. People aren't aware that this restaurant exists with this sumptuous, splendid cuisine, right? So the people at the restaurant just trying to keep the restaurant open, and they might be doing a good job. They're catering. They're taking some catering jobs. The restaurant has the restaurant business going on, but they're doing some catering to keep money flowing in. Then they might also provide some of their items in other people's restaurants. Be like, hey, we make these great desserts. Let's partner with this other restaurant that just does desserts, and I'll put my desserts in their restaurants. That's kind of like a dry bar. I make comedy. Dry bar, like, hey man, we sell comedy. People come to our place for comedy. We love to put your snacks. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing all the things that a restaurant would do. I'm catering. I'm doing corporate events. I'm doing keynotes. I have my brick and mortar. I'm doing my stand up. I'm doing tours. I'm doing shows. But then I'm also available in other places. So we've licensed out the thing, right? So I have this product, this bow tie comedy, this comedy that I feel great about it. I feel great that the chef has a wonderful menu, has a wonderful staff, and we just continue to make great products and great meals. The problem is we're just not getting a lot of traffic. We're not getting a lot of folks that are stopping by. But then Keith Lee does a video about how great the restaurant, or Steve Harvey says how great the restaurant is, or Questlove reposts a joke, and then now more people are like, oh my goodness, I need to go stop by that restaurant. Let me go check out this restaurant. And so that's basically what happens when a Steve Harvey or someone with some major influence shines the light on what I've been doing and going to continue to do, and what I've already been doing. That's how people will say, man, how does it feel to become an overnight success? But like, yeah, it only took me 15 years. And I've only been on America's Got Talent. I've only been on Dry Bar. I've only been on the Today Show. So each is a brick, man. I'm just building this house, or this edifice, or this structure. I'm building this comedy structure. And hopefully by the time that other people find out about it, man, it's like a mansion. It's the Biltmore House, and you can come and tour it. And there's a bowling alley. That's how I saw the Biltmore House for the first time when I was in the 6th grade. I was astonished that somebody had a bowling alley in their house. I just could not fathom. And maybe that is if I bowled like that, maybe that would be like the pinnacle of success for me. to be able to have a bowling alley in my house, right? But at this state of my career, I've built something where people can come check it out. You can come check out the podcast. You can go check out the What You're Not Gonna Do Is Not Laugh at These Jokes special that's on Dry Bar. You can check out some clips from America's Got Talent, and on and on and on and on and on, right? But I'm grateful. I'm thankful. I that's what I want to happen. I want people to come and buy my product and use my catering services and put me inside of their stores, recommend me to other merchants that I could bring my wares, right? So that's what's happening, man. I'm in the midst of that, which also had somebody hit me because more people are finding out who I am, and they're showing up. My Instagram, I don't know if I've not doubled yet, but my Instagram currently, I'm almost at like 230,000 followers. Probably being at like 160 for a minute. I was at 160 for a minute, and then I got to 200,000. I was kind of looking at it, and it was like 160, 170, 180, and it was like 190. I was like, oh, snap. And then I remember we were like 190, and then 198, 199. I was like, yo, I'm about to go over 200,000. So I go over 200,000, and now I'm almost at like 230,000, right? I don't know what that means in terms of tangible results. I don't know if there'll be more ticket sales now that I have 230,000 followers on Instagram as opposed to 160,000 or opposed to 90,000 or opposed to when I thought I was killing it a little bit. I remember I had like 80,000 and I was like, yo, like it's interesting. One of the things, because to me, I don't flex. I don't have a lot of flexing. I keep my flex at a minimum. I do flex, but I don't flex a lot. But one of the places I was kind of flexing was Instagram, right? Like I would flex a little bit, especially when people would, let's say I meet somebody, it's somebody that know who I am, and there's a person that don't know who I am. So the person is like, yo, I love your stuff, man. You funny dude. Man, can I get a picture? Yes. So the other person is like, hey, who is this guy? And the other person, they may be friends, but like, oh man, you're not following him? You need to follow him. And it's like, yo, what's your Instagram? I'm at Bowtie Comedy. And then they're punching it in. And then they see 80,000 followers. They're like, oh, wait, okay, right. But hey, yeah, you really. So that was like, then I remember I was even like doing my TED talk and meeting some of the folks that are like TEDx speakers. And at that time, I'm 80,000, 60,000 followers, whatever. They're like, man, you got a big social media following. Matter of fact, I even remember getting ready for this church comedy tour. One of the conversations that was had was like, man, the guys that you're on the tour with, they have a huge social media following, and you have some comedy, like you you got some jokes, but they got social media following. Now, if you look at Instagram, I'm pretty close to one of them. I think I surpassed one of the comedians, and it's like, whoa, it's like it's interesting. So I don't know how life changed. I think that 1 million followers like makes things happen, especially on Instagram. I think if you have 1 million or 1 million on Facebook or 1 million on YouTube, I think that brings in, and again, whatever I'm doing is bringing in, because people are in my DMs. Folks are like, hey, I want to have a conversation. So some things are happening. I'm not out here like, woe is me. Life is just, I'm coming up the rough side of the mountain. I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody that could save anybody, right? So things are happening, great things, and I thank you for being on board, man. I didn't mean to go this long in the intro, but let me quickly talk about two things. Like some of you have seen this joke. Folks have talked about how funny this joke is. I cannot take credit for this joke. This is a stock joke. This is like a knock joke, a joke that has been recycled and cycled around. So it's a maybe public domain joke. And it's a joke that I started off with. Like when I first started doing stand-up, my set was like, I probably wasn't even doing, but I wasn't even doing What You're Not Gonna Do at that point. But let's say by the time I started doing What You're Not Gonna Do, Not Right, Not Wrong, maybe Nicknames. I don't even think Nicknames is that old. Nicknames. I knew I would do this Chewbacca joke about save. And you save. Matter of fact, that was even a question mark because Tony Robbins has a joke like when you say things twice, be like, like he broke. You know, that wasn't my joke was save. You save. But I think I went another direction. It wasn't like when you double up any word, my double up was on save. And like I'm saved, but I ain't save, right? And so I got a little bit of people like, you stealing Bruno. And I wasn't stealing anybody's jokes. I don't steal jokes. I'm not a joke thief. But two things. If somebody like you stole that joke, I'm like, yeah, I did steal it, but it's not a joke that's not an original joke. It's like somebody telling you stole Amazing Grace. Like that's just my cover of Amazing Grace. Now we don't cover jokes. Like I can't go in Chris Rock's comedy portfolio and be like, this is my take on black folks versus the N-words, right? I can't. That's not how comedy works. But in this instance, the two things jokes, it's a stock joke. My buddy Frank, my brother buddy Spanky Brown had a joke about a little kid that didn't have ears. And he would like close on this joke. Like it was a long joke, but it was a stock joke. It's been around. Michael Collier does a lot of those jokes. Maybe, a joke like nacho cheese, the joke about, there's a joke where pastors, I've even heard pastors do this joke where somebody was talking, the neighbor was a Christian and the person was an atheist. The Christian didn't have any groceries, and they heard the atheist walk by and was praying, heard a Christian praying about how they didn't have any food and any groceries, and the atheist was like, I'm gonna show you there's no God, and they go and buy all these groceries. Then they buy these groceries and put them on the doorstep, hide in the bushes, knock on the door, hide in the bushes. The Christian comes out, sees the groceries. Oh my God. Thank you, Jesus. You've answered my prayers. You're such a great God. And then the atheists jump out. Ha! I told you there wasn't no God. God didn't buy those groceries. I bought those groceries. Ha ha ha. There's no such thing as God. And then the Christian's like, thank you, Jesus. You bought me these groceries and you made the devil pay for them, right? Like that's two things. So I had this joke. It's in my footage. We had to send all this footage to the folks that do my social media. So I sent my footage, and two things is one of the jokes it was in a keynote. Matter of fact, I don't even have it in a set. Like it's not in a special. When I did my dry bar, I was like, oh man, two things. And it was a great joke. People love the joke. I like doing the joke, but it's just not Mike Goodwin's joke. And I don't want to put that flag in the ground like this is my joke. And other people are like, hey man, I just do that joke and I saw that joke. This person from this place did the joke, and I don't want that. I don't want that. So my team of folks that does social media, they put the joke out before, but I saw it and was like, yo, took it down, deleted it, and asked them like, hey, could y'all remove that joke from your files? And we not, please don't put that joke up. And they didn't for a very long time. Then as any company that hires new people, some new person comes in. I guess the joke's still in the files. They see the joke. They make, man, that was a great joke. Let's post this joke. And by the time I caught it, the next time they posted, it was everywhere. As a matter of fact, I asked the guy to take it down. He took it down, but to no avail. It was everywhere. So at some point, I just was like, hey, man, it's not on my page. So you can't go to my page and see the joke. And maybe I'll change. One day I'll just be like, okay, forget it. I'll post it. Because the joke's funny and it's a great joke, but my delivery of the joke is so funny. And I like, the timing, the pacing. And it just goes through these situations of, my grandmother told me when I was growing up, if you're going to worry, there's only two things to worry about, whether you're healthy or whether you're sick. And then you go through the whole, thing. So that's the two things. Joke, man. Thank y'all for listening to that long, drawn out intro. Let me get to the best advice ever. Simply, the best advice ever is eliminate relief syndrome. Eliminate relief syndrome. What is relief syndrome, you may ask? I don't even know if that's a legit term, but I was watching the Pivot podcast with Coach Nick Saban. And the Pivot, you got the guys, Ryan Clark, Fred, and Channing. I don't know people's last names, but I know Ryan Clark because that's my frat brother. But they were interviewing Coach Nick Saban, and it was a great interview. One of the best interviews I've seen. I've watched a lot of really good podcast interviews, especially sports interviews, because I watch a lot of sports podcast interviews. One of the ones I just watched, I really enjoyed was All the Smoke. Craig Hodges was on All the Smoke. Really enjoyed that. I saw Reggie Miller was also on All the Smoke. I enjoyed that one also. But in this particular podcast, Nick Saban was asked about when did he know he was the GOAT of coaching. At some point, he had to recognize that, hey, man, I'm a bad boy at doing this. And his response was basically he never really saw himself like that. What he did was he just never had relief syndrome. And basically relief syndrome, which I have relief syndrome. I'm infected. I have like an epidemic. I've been stage 5 relief syndrome. Basically, relief syndrome is you have success. So you he's basically in football context. Let's say he's playing the SEC, so they got tough games. So you have your games against you start off with some light competition, but then let's say one of the big games of the week, Alabama is going to be playing 6th ranked Tennessee, right? So you practice, you prepare, you go and you win this big game. All this lights, you're on ESPN Game Day, and you win this game. He said what happens with most people is they're relieved. They had this big game. They had this big build-up. They won the game. Then they start chilling. It's similar to the analogy or the story I learned when I was a kid. Many of us learned when we were children. The tortoise and the hare. I would call it the hare syndrome. You're winning. You're in this race. You're winning. You're so far ahead. You're like, oh, let me take a break up under this shade tree. So Nick Saban's analogy was basically the time you celebrate as a coach is after you win a championship, not after you win a big game. So when teams win big games, it's very difficult. He said he was more of a hard coach after wins than losses. He's like, well, losses, people already feel bad. Folks didn't want to lose. Nobody wakes up in the morning to lose. They want to win. So he really kicks folks in their behinds when they win, because that's when you get complacent. That's when you get lax. That's when you have relief, and you have the relief syndrome. So similar to me, I have huge relief syndrome. Let's say I have a big taping, like America's Got Talent, right? I go to California, I take this show, this big time show, I do well, and it's in the, it's archived, and I come back to Columbia, and now I gotta go to Disney World now. I gotta have a parade. That's one of the challenges for those of us that work. We do need opportunities to celebrate, but there needs to be an on off. Like, we're gonna celebrate this weekend, and then we back to it. I'm not like that. I'm like, I had this big America's Got Talent situation. I don't know when the next big thing will come. So I'll chill until it's time to get serious again. I don't know when that gets serious again. That could be 2 months from now. I don't go that long, but I do it, man. I have a parade, and I do all the late night shows, whatever version of that is for me. Maybe that's just me not going to the office and working on material. Maybe that's me not booking flights. Maybe that's me not doing some logistic things in my business that will move the program forward. Like, I just had a thought. I needed to send somebody a description of this workshop that I'm doing this summer. But if I'm having my relief syndrome, man, I had a show Friday. It went well. Man, I'm chilling. I'm relaxing. I'm cruising, right? So I would encourage you to eliminate relief syndrome if that's your issue. Now, again, you have to celebrate. My daughter just recently said something to me that it was a little jarring. She said, work hard, play hard. That was one of the reasons she selected college that she selected. Work hard, play hard. A very difficult academic place, very rigorous school, but in a nice city, a cosmopolitan city with all the bells and whistles, with professional teams and nightlife and museums and shopping districts, all the things, right? Concerts and comedy show. Work hard, play hard. So, and I that's why I do really like sports, because sports has a designated. They have off seasons. I don't know if we have an off season in our professional life. I did. I was coming from an education arena, which I did get a lot of. I did get a lot of flack from folks that were not in education, because in education we do have a summer. We do have a summer. We have from when school lets out to when school opens up. So we do have a little break, a little summer, a little chill. Most folks do too. There are times that may not be as long as 3 months, but there's, when you at work, there's times where the majority of the people are outside of your office. They're gone. They're doing something else. They're not there. There are times when you go on this annual retreat, or you go, they have this summer conference or something. But what I like about sports teams, they have like a 24-hour rule. They have a big win, they celebrate it for 24 hours. They have a big loss, they commiserate for 24 hours, and then they get back to business, right? So I would encourage you to eliminate the relief syndrome. Man, thank y'all so much. Again, this episode went much further in the intro than I had anticipated it. Shout out to all the mothers that listen to the podcast. Mother's Day is upcoming. It will be upon us this upcoming Sunday. I'm out on the road with my guy, John Chris. This is Mike Goodwin returning to the John Chris tour. It may have been, it might have been 2 years since I've been out with John, but I'll be out for 4 dates. I think we're in Oklahoma City on Friday night. Yeah, that sounds right. Oklahoma City Friday night. We're in Shreveport, Louisiana, Saturday night, possibly. And then we're spending 2 nights in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So I may be wrong. Shreveport may be the last night. Hattiesburg may be Saturday. I'm not all the way certain, but I know those are the 4 locations that will be. I'm not quite sure of what days those will be on. Also, the church comedy tour is coming this summer, this June. June is quickly upon us, man. So I would love for you to go to my website or go to tprlive.co. I don't think it's com. I think it's co. And get your church comedy tour tickets. It will be myself and Jaron Myers and Shama. We'll be out, man. It's going to be a great show. We'd love to see your face in the place. Again, if you enjoy the podcast, let folks know about it. Like, subscribe, share. Follow me on social media at bowtiecomedy.com. Also, I've been having some issues with info@comedianmikegoodwin.com. I don't know if anybody's been sending things there anyway, but if not, if you wanted to send something somewhere, send it to bowtiecomedy@gmail.com. I'll be able to get your comments, your reflections, your ideas at bowtiecomedy@gmail.com. Thank y'all so much again for checking in to the Best Advice Ever podcast. I'll see you next time. Same bat channel, same bat place. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. And I appreciate that, man. Y'all have a great one. Peace.